and he's claiming that a West Virginia player called the timeout, which he didn't. So that's why he gets thrown out. But here's the thing. And I said this earlier when college basketball made this a rule, and then the NBA followed suit. The refs are like, you know what? I'm not going to get berated by a guy wearing a polo shirt. I'm just not. There is a ceiling to how mad you can get in a bathing suit. It's about right here. There's a ceiling to how mad you can get in a polo shirt. It's about right there. You want to scream at me in a suit? The bank manager comes out and yells at me for doing something? Well, all right, bank manager, you got me. You want to wear a tuxedo and yell at me like Frank Sinatra? Okay, I'm sorry, sir. But if you're going to try to dress me down in a polo shirt, out of the game. See you later, Chris Beard. You want to wear a suit? I would have kept you in the game. Polo shirt, gone.
That's great. Hey, guys, I went back to watch highlights of the Super Bowl because I wanted to see how much of the game, the loss, could you actually pin on Mahomes. And what I saw from watching this actual game footage is that it's not much, is that Mahomes really only had like 0.0000001 seconds to get the ball out. Other things I noticed, not as many fans as I thought when I watched. I didn't like how professional the uniforms were that they were wearing. But a lot of this you can't really put on Mahomes. So, Nick, I got to give you credit. Balls being dropped left and right. And watching this real actual game footage, not on Mahomes. I would not put this loss on Patrick Mahomes, buddy. Not his fault. Not his fault.
Appreciate that, Jenna. All right, one in-house note quickly for my butt first. Some folks have asked and wondered why I'm in for Colin this week. Colin, you can go to his Instagram. He explained it firsthand yesterday. My dear friend, someone that I love with all my heart, and I know all of us care for Colin, but I have a special relationship with him. He has helped me in ways the audience will never know. Was hospitalized this weekend. Now, he's going to be okay. He's already out of the hospital, but Sunday was terrifying for, I think, all involved. And so that's why Colin is not hosting his show on a week where he desperately wants to host his show. So he's going to be all right. He's back home. He's with his family. But on my behalf and on behalf of everyone at FS1 and certainly everyone on this show, our best wishes and thoughts with Colin as he gets back healthy and hopefully gets back on TV very, very soon. But in the meantime, Colin, I'll hold you down on the herd. I got your back, brother.
Yep, absolutely everything that Nick said there. And Colin left a nice message to his fans and everyone on Instagram, Twitter. Definitely check that out. All right, we'll take a turn. Talk some Philadelphia Eagles now. Man, things are getting nutty down there in Philly. First, you get rid of your coach because you're keeping your quarterback. Then you say, forget it, we're getting rid of the quarterback too. Carson Wentz on the market, but so far no nibbles. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because the Birds are looking for 2 first-rounders for him? Nick, you say it's preposterous. Are the Eagles crazy to think Wentz is worth 2 first-round picks?
To quote a wise broadcaster, or misquote, the unmitigated gall it takes to demand 2 first-round picks for a guy who last year was the worst quarterback in the NFL is beyond me. Now, I've said for months, even when many former GMs were out there saying there's no way they trade him, they don't take on the cap hit of trading him, that they could and they would, and it made sense to trade him, particularly early this offseason before mid-March when a roster bonus kicks in on the 3rd day of the league year. Brandon, I still believe they are going to trade him. But the discussion from 2 months ago was, are they going to have to attach a pick of their own, Brock Osweiler style, to get off the contract? I don't think it's that bad. I think they can probably get a single second-round pick for Carson Wentz. If someone offers them a first, they need to hang up that phone and say yes and hang up that phone immediately. But the idea that they are getting what you got for Jalen Ramsey for Carson Wentz is lunacy and will never, ever happen.
All right, so look, you quoted one of your guys. What do you say? The unmitigated gall. Let me quote one of my favorite guys on television. What the hell how we doing, bro? I think that's you, Nick. Isn't that your thing? What are we doing here? Are we serious right now? You're asking for 2 first-round picks? Like, if it was 2 years ago, I think you can demand that and potentially more. But when you think about the reports that came out this year and the reports that came out, last year, a little bit over a year ago, then you really have to question if this is the right guy. Now, on the field, people are like, well, Brandon, he threw so many picks. He doesn't seem like he has any poise in the pocket. Those are things that people think they can fix, because when you turn on the film from college, when you turn on the film from year 1, year 2, you're like, yo, this dude can do it. That offensive line was banged up. They had no wide receivers. So on the field, people feel like they can help this guy, Wilds. But off the field is the biggest concern. When you go back, and I lean into that report from the Philly Voice again, they talk about uncompromising, selfish, and then also, what is the thing? Playing favorites. That's a big deal. I talked to 2 people in the organization that was there back in 2018, 2019, and they said this is absolutely true. We witnessed this year that talent only takes you so far. Tom Brady led his team to Super Bowl 55 off of leadership. Leadership is everything. I was a guy, Wilds, at the beginning of my career, the first 4 years, I didn't understand that dynamic in the locker room and how important it was. And then once I realized that it was the most important thing out there, then that's when I start leaning into it and start understanding that that's where people win, and that's how you separate yourself from the good to the great. And if Carson Wentz is a guy that can't come in the locker room and bring people together and galvanize his troops, then he's not worth the 1. He's not 2 picks. He's not even worth 1. What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, I thought, Brandon, to the leadership thing, I thought him not dressing for the final game of the year, just in case Jalen went down or something happened, I thought that was a chance to sort of have rebrand himself as a good leader and a team guy, and it didn't happen. Nick, to your point about the picks, I didn't know if these were NFL reports or those new T-Mobile ads. Like, hold on, what? We're getting picks, or you want picks? I can't quite hear you on this. The message is all screwed up. Because I thought the picks were the tax that you were paying Goff style for eating that big salary. Because I think the Eagles are confusing his value on the market. Because I think there's sort of 3 tiers of values, and you tell me what you think. The stars that are available, Deshaun Watson, Russ, if Aaron Rodgers is somehow available, there's almost, you can't pay enough or trade enough assets of how much those guys are worth. The second place is potential. Your Justin Fields, like, who knows? It's a safe pick for the GM. There's no downside. Like, oh, I don't know, Tua didn't work out, or maybe we can make him work out. The third, in the lowest value, is the reclamation project. We saw it with Jameis, who signed for $1 million, Cam for $1 million, and Carson Wentz, when you throw as many interceptions as you do, touchdowns, and you're sacked 50 times, and there's locker room issues, I don't think you fall from star. You're not potential. You're a reclamation. So I think the asking price is going to be severely suppressed.
And I do think there is an element of, I'm going to use a weird analogy here, like the monopoly bargaining element. Like you want to sell Park Place, and you're like, I'll sell it to you for $3,000. And you're like, man, I hope I get $800. And where your ask is so high that you're hoping you're like, that you are almost mind melding your opposition into thinking $1,200 is a good price. I think that's probably what's happening here. But I do think when Brandon brings up the non-football concerns, it is apropos to reference all the stories we are currently hearing about Tom Brady. If part of what makes Brady great is how loyal his teammates are to him, how much people love him, how great of a leader he is, if we all agree that on just pure arm talent alone, there's a handful of quarterbacks in recent history that would outclass Brady in the old quarterback competitions, but yet Brady has 7 rings, then you must do the inverse of that, which is even if you have a ton of arm talent, if all the other things, Brandon, that go into being a quarterback you stink at, and by the way, you're hurt all the time, and by the way, ball security is job security, and you weren't good at that last year, then what is your actual value? Your actual value is that you were the second overall pick and you had one brilliant season. And people don't want to give up on that at 28 years old. So be it. But those other things take a real hacksaw to the rest of your value that you have to overcome.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to interview Bruce Arians last night on Inside the NFL. And the guys asked him, just tell us about Tom Brady. What did you learn about Tom Brady? And what Bruce said was he's just one of the guys. Like, literally one of the guys. You walk in the locker room, and he's one of the guys. Like, that is the most important thing. At the quarterback position, because we're talking about Russell Wilson, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, talking about Deshaun Watson, like these guys want more power. They are in an interesting position. They're like a notch above a player, and then they're a notch below a coach. They have to be able to lead down. They have to be able to lead up. But at the end of the day, the job is to win championships, and you got to make sure that those 53 guys in those locker room, they're marching to the same beat of the drum, right? So that's the thing that these guys got to deal with. And if you can't be a guy, then you can't win in the National Football League. Uncompromising, selfish, and playing favorites? No, you got to be able to look at me and say, Brandon, I'm going to come to you.
On a week where he desperately wants to host his show. So he's going to be all right. He's back home. He's with his family. But on my behalf and on behalf of everyone at FS1 and certainly everyone on this show, our best wishes and thoughts with Colin as he gets back healthy and hopefully gets back on TV very, very soon. But in the meantime, Colin, I'll hold you down on the herd. I got your back, brother.
Absolutely everything that Nick said there. And Colin left a nice message to his fans and everyone on Instagram.